All right, we are live on the internet.
Welcome to Productivity and Procrastination. I am James.
And I'm Joe, and we're just two procrastinators looking to get productive.
Currently working on Project Pancake.
And this is episode 13.
Mm,
Or it's our lucky episode.
Lucky 13. Excellent. Well,
So we just watched our previous video before we started this, and that is a new tradition I'm really liking because it gave me a lot of points to talk about in this episode as well. Not that there's ever not points, it's nice to have more points.
yeah.
All right. All right. So I went first last week talking about goals. It's your turn this week. How did your goals go?
Oh, okay. Well, I actually did pretty decent. I had a good. I have a positive thought on my
Ooh,
week. Put it
I
that
like
way.
that.
Um, it was weird because I didn't really start with doing much off my list, but I just started doing tasks at home. Went out in my backyard, I cut off some limbs of my tree, I chopped them all down and just kind of started burning, my fire pit just out because it was like weeds growing in it and all these things. So I burned that all out and mowed my yard somewhat because it was so tall that I could only get so far before my batteries died. Um, just started cleaning out and doing tasks, and that was over a period of a few days. I started just feeling good about that. Um, so it helped me carry over the whole week in that aspect. Heather and I just got stuff done here and there, and we just kind of wove it into our day the whole time. And I felt good because of that. All those little tasks that I did were just, how the last week it carried over, or I thought it would carry over,
Mm-hmm.
like as I do things. Well, it actually did this time. Um, the positive feelings, they carried over. Um, whereas last time the kind of like I pushed off all the negatives. So it was like by just doing the small tasks each day, I got all the benefits, and didn't have any of the negatives. It was kind of
So
really nice.
I want to talk about that positive feeling. Was that feel like accomplishment, or what feeling was that? If you could describe it.
Well, when you fill all your moments with, happiness and entertainment, and you don't really make your life into a game, I was talking to my wife about, hey, what if we just concentrated on our life a little bit, turned it into a Sims game,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of, started having a little fun with that, we'd get a lot done, you know, and so we kind of, did that to some degree, and it was good. I think we did well. We still played a lot of games. We bought on the Switch Potion something, I don't know, Potion Maker, or whatever it is. But we were playing that together, taking turns, and so we were still doing things like that. I actually busted out my laptop last night and set that all up in front while we were playing Potion something, and I, you know, saw that my program had been installed on there so that I could, write and
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't write anything, even a sentence. I didn't write. I have nothing on that. So I set my alarm an hour early today, and I reluctantly got up, all groggy and horrid, and I sat down to my laptop, and I wrote my sentence,
There you
and
go.
I wrote some words, and I'm pretty pleased with the fact that I did that. My word count is only 220. And that's
What? Only
including my sentence.
220? That's
Yes.
more than a sentence, dude.
Well, that is more than a sentence. My
Hell
first
yeah.
sentence was, he wrote his first sentence.
I like it.
And I
No,
wrote
that's
just a
awesome.
rando. Well, I actually did a lot more this week, actually. Now that I look back in my journal, I had started making thoughts on video game ideas for us to make eventually. And I also, I'll bring up some of those things, I guess, when and if I come over to your house.
Okay.
But I had like done some serious work on that, like just good amount of time, good amount of thought. Got some interesting ideas that I'll throw at you, and because of that, and it's all kind of in the world of we were all kind of making over time, the fantasy kind of world that we had started a while back. So it was in that, and so I had fun doing that. But so then I wrote today.
Sorry to interrupt. So, for the viewers who don't know what that fantasy world is, could you describe it a little bit, or did you want to not describe it?
Well, it's funny because I even came up with a world name, and I want to see what you think. I guess right here live. The world of cliche.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, because it's kind of like our world is kind of like a humorous slash, normal fantasy meets kind of like hokey, cozy kind of, kind of a feeling. Like we have one of our characters is the Spider Queen. Very generic kind of like concepts that we just enjoy from fantasy. And so I thought, why not just go into that? The land of cliche, or the world of cliche. I mean, it's all spelled weird, of course, but I just thought, let's just dive in. Let's just say, we don't care.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have fun with this, and if you can accept that and go with us on it, then I think you're gonna have fun. So anyway, I started my writing today was from within the history of the land of cliche. So I figured maybe I would just read it, since who knows if it'll ever become anything, but at least you'll get kind of like a little bit of my my style in how I like to write a little bit. And so I'll just start. So I'll just start with my first sentence, like I said, and I'll just go into it if I can. So, he wrote his first sentence. All right. Then that went and transitioned into. He put the scroll away on the shelf. It was a simple work for the master, sealed with his usual symbol, the wax a tired red, but possessing a sheen within the depth that gave the stamp that quality look. He closed his eyes. He grabbed the scroll off the shelf and threw it on the table in front of him. A rare second peek for one so seasoned as himself. He could see the others next to it now, past this moment. He would be opened last, or his would be opened last, for the others were so adorned. Good, he thought. There were 5 more. They had responded after all. Glancing next to his own, he could see the seal of Slavra, its cold matte finish, and that same acid spit burn, but with a marblin paper, exquisite with the bland. That was Slavra, all right. The old mage opened his eyes, satisfied that his would be opened last. I guess I redundant that. Who in this kingdom would dare go against the edict? Who indeed? The smile could not be held back. His scroll would not be the usual concession. It would not be another compromise. There will be heat that melts both bone and stone as they open his scroll in the cavern. The old one who always just complies has just chosen war. That's it.
I like it. That's fun.
So,
Thank you for sharing with us.
yeah, it's kind of scary sharing anything.
Oh, it is. And absolutely, because it's like you're exposing part of yourself, and I totally get that.
But that's going to be part of the history of this land, not necessarily the present day.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, and maybe I'll continue it. Maybe I won't. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm on board because I mean I would love to flesh out a world that has just history upon history and just so much like stuff we could play with.
Yeah, I do too. It is exciting to do something like that. So it will be interesting to see what you see about the game ideas and stuff like that too. But yeah, so I feel good about the week. I just feel like it was enough that I can put a yes on mine.
And that's a big deal. Like you felt satisfied. So we were watching the video and there was some things I wanted to talk about specifically with your goals. Oh, was there any goals that you didn't accomplish that you wrote down?
Just the hard disk drive thing. I'm pretty sure. Everything else was just kind of like extras. I did. It just kind of like started getting things done here and there, like just really just kind of plopping those items into my week. And I did a pretty successful job of that. And now it's kind of getting, I don't want to say addicting because, I don't have a track record enough for that, but it's enticing to get more done.
No, I totally get that. And I think that's where like maybe easy and achievable goals is something we should continue to focus on throughout our goal making process. So that way we can get those wins and get that enticement rolling. Because the more we achieve, the more we feel good from achieving, which is just like a big loop of just happiness. And then something else I didn't discuss last week when we were discussing what it takes just to sit down and write a sentence. Even if you were just to sit down and you were write like one sentence, like your one sentence, he wrote his first sentence. That forms a habit as long as you're consistent. And habits are much, much more powerful than willpower. Like the staying power of habits is so much more powerful. Because I notice like now that I draw, like I have it every day I need to draw thing, I think about it every day. Instead of, because like there'll be days where I've used to go without thinking about drawing at all. But now every day I think about it. I'm like, oh, I should draw today. So there's that power of habits. It puts it to the forefront of your mind. So it's like, these are my notes that I wrote down from our last episode. It's important to, for me at least, and I think it's true for others, is having it be a habit, and it puts it at the forefront of your mind, so that way you're always thinking about it.
Yeah, I'd like to have these. I'd like to have writing be a habit again. And right now, it's just it's becoming more convenient.
What
And
about the ease of
that's
access?
well, I think that is there. I just thought the other day, hey, I have a laptop that I bought for writing long ago that I don't use. Maybe I could bust that out and do something with it. And what's exciting is I actually used it,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote on it, and the keyboard wasn't so horrible. I'm pretty sure I bought a full, keyboard so that I wouldn't have typing issues. I hated that.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of unusual because my domain is in my computer room here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm used to that spot, which brings up a thought I had on your end was, if you were having problems getting some of your drawing done, maybe you think about maybe getting away. They always say separate work and home and all that. Maybe you need to throw open a table or something in the corner and just get away from your computer desk every now and then and just go there to draw every now and then, Maybe that would help you.
Yeah. Honestly, I've thought about the same thing. Like, it feels silly, but I do think, like, I just don't have a lot of room. I'm sure I could find room, but
That's why a folding table,
mm-hmm.
just, you know,
Set it
put it
up
up when you
somewhere.
want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to
Take
give
it
that a
down when you
shot.
don't want it.
Especially if I continue to have issues with, like, working through stuff and whatnot.
Well, then
So,
that is a good transition to ask, did you this week?
oh, I did. So, when we were watching the video, James caught me writing down how many pages I did. And it was 0. No, I'm just kidding. 17 pages is what I ended up working through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to be fair, though, a lot of it was talking about materials. It did change a lot of how I draw, though. I do want to discuss that a little bit. I know it's like, if you're not into drawing, like, that's not going to be super exciting. But you know how, like, people, like, write with, their pencil like this, right? Or at least some people do. The issue with this is, like, because I'm writing like this or drawing like this, like, even if I was to use my arm, which is you're supposed to do in art, you're supposed to use your arm because you're going to get more fluid strokes and whatever. The issue is I'm always using the tip. That's the problem. I can't just use the tip. So I now instead draw like this, where I have the choice of using the tip, or I can use the side for, like, more, like, thicker lines or thinner lines, or I can do this. It gives me a lot more control to make lines that are different. Just basically, I could make different lines. So I can do like this, or like this, or like this, or like this.
He's
It's thinner lines,
going
thicker lines.
horizontal back and forth for those that can't see.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. So I'm holding it as though I was a conductor rather than if I was holding the pencil like I was going to write something. Now, for smaller details, it is nice to have like this, like for like really specific tiny details, because sometimes the movement of the big arm just doesn't work for smaller details. It's good for like roughing in sketches and that type of stuff, but if I really, really, really want to hone in on something, I still switch to this. I'm not like married only to this. I think there's a use case for both. I think both of them have their use cases. So like if you're holding it like a pencil, you're going to want to be doing more smaller details. At least that's what I've found so far, and I'm just still learning.
So one of them, you have your fingertips are very close to the actual,
to the
graphite
tip.
or whatever the heck it is, and the other one has like one finger on it.
Yeah, it just finds that it encourages me to use my arm instead of my wrist, because like I can't do much drawing with this, where with this I can do a lot more drawing. with this.
Well,
Like, it just causes me to use my arm, and it might just be a me thing where I can't bring my brain to like use my arm. But I found that it gives me more options in just actual drawing. And that's something I learned from the book or explored because I was going through the book and we're going through the materials.
Well, that's cool. That seems to be
yeah.
a little hard to. I've been doing it the pencil way my whole life. Changing
You will
would
be
be
surprised
like unusual.
how natural it feels, honestly. You would be surprised. So I do want to mention that my graphite is pretty far out from the tip. I am using a very thick lead because it is. So it's a 2H lead. So it's thick. It's a thick boy. Mostly because I press hard and I don't want it to break, and because I like to get that deep color. And just having the variety in there is really nice too. So it is not used for like, because I've tried to do this, like I've tried to draw like I normally do with like these like cheap mechanical pencils with like 0.5 lead, and it just snaps under me, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do anything with this. Okay. So I did that. I worked through my 17 pages. I drew on Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I drew 4 out of the 7 days.
Nice.
Which I'm going to consider that a success. If I do more than I'm happy. And then I did find a program that we could draw together to storyboard. So, and I want to actually say the name of it, so that way, if could you say the name of it? Do you have it visible for you? I sent it to you on Discord.
Agio by Magma. I don't know if that's the name of it.
Yeah,
but
that's the way of it. It's like Agio by Magma. Just
Aggie.io.
yep. And so we should be able to do that there. I mean,
That's
if it comes to find out.
AGGIE.io.
Oh, thank you. If it doesn't end up working out, we'll definitely let you guys know next week. But it seemed like I opened it, I tried it. It didn't seem we need to register or anything. You could just draw. And so that's awesome. But yes. Okay, so did you have any notes from last week that you wanted to talk about?
Just that I was wanting to kind of pay attention to how I feel and what I accomplish, and I feel good. I feel positive about this next week, and I feel like I accomplished enough to propel me forward in a good way. And I'm excited to see if I can add more. That's where I'm at.
Awesome. So I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to start with my goals. I'm going to draw daily. Today's Friday. And then we're going to do some storyboarding today. I don't even put like the video on my list anymore, or like uploading our Spotify thing. Like those are just part of my daily life now. They aren't goals. They're just like things that I do.
Well, that's kind of how we want it to become, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we always knew we'd be hopefully adding things to our list, and the others would become rote. I'm glad that that's actually happening.
And I'm gonna put down work through 2 pages of my book. If I get more done, awesome. But I'm also starting getting into like the actual like meat of it, and I want to like make sure I'm drawing and going with it.
Yeah, I want to write more. I'm going to put the word count that I do. I don't know if I'll continue with what I wrote earlier or if that was just kind of like a
Yeah.
jumping in and feeling good kind of thing.
Yeah, there's no expectations. There's just whatever you want to write.
And I'm going to think about it for a few minutes or a few moments. Maybe you have
Okay.
something you want to add.
So, something, I mean, it's hard to describe exactly what's working and what's not because part of me worries that these goals are just are limiting what we could do. Like, oh, I drew today, I'm going to put my little checkbox. I don't have to do any more. Now, is that
Mm,
a positive or a negative? Like, cuz sure, I drew today, which feels like a positive
hmm
because if without the checkbox, without the crossing, I don't know if I would.
mm. Well, I think I know what you're getting at. It was um, last week you kind of had the question of, hey, are we gonna how are you feeling with this whole project? How are you, whatever? And I was like, well, let's just get a few wins first, before we kind of run full board into the other one. Um, I think that's kind of where we're still at. I mean, I think both of us want to get some real work done and feel like that we're progressing at a pace that this thing's going to get done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the question is always, am I doing a task or am I getting further in my,
Mm.
thing? And I think that's kind of like what we're all trying to obtain is that yes, there are doing tasks and tasks mean something, but unless those tasks actually push us forward in our goal, our actual, project, then they have this ability to just be like, oh yeah, I did it. I checked my box. Um, I'm keeping that in mind, and I'm making sure. Yes, all I'm trying to do is be consistent for a few weeks, right? I've got the first week down now. Okay, now I want to see if I can do the same thing again, feel the same way, and possibly achieve a little bit more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but basically, the end result is: do I feel good next week? Or not? If I feel good next week and I'm starting to get like a consistent pattern now, and that's when we can be like, okay, can we jump into like getting some meat done? Like really jumping in and making a push in the project because, you know, I think it creates that, you know, build up where you're just like, I've we can do this, we can knock this out. And so I'm trying to handle expectations because I've been let down. I've been let down for a long time. You know, everything sounds so easy until you do it, you
Yeah.
know? And so I'm I'm kindling that fire, to use a reference of my whole, I'm nurturing those coals. If you keep the coals alive, then fire making is easy. So I have a little coal from last week. I want to see if I can keep that alive, and then I think from there, the wildfire comes out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so a little bit more time, and then I think I'll be ready to. And at the same time, I just started a new schedule. I'm just figuring out how all of this can. can go together. And a little bit more time, I think I'll be ready for that. How are you sitting with all that?
Um, I feel like we're working towards, like, we're working bi-weekly towards our main goal while just working on ourselves weekly. Um, I do think there's a mindset change when, like, if I was to draw every single day and it was no big deal, I think there would be a mindset change in about like what I can accomplish as an artist versus. And so maybe that's where the power lies in these like goals is it encourages you to it helps you not only just like accomplish your goals but change your mind about them as well. So I'm gonna keep running forward with it because, and it's not like I just like, oh, I make a doodle of a snake or something. Like I draw a line on the paper and I'm like, oh, I'm done. Typically, it's more guided than that. It's more like I would put something up on the screen and then I'll draw it and then compare it to like, and I'll trace it and compare it back and forth and like see what I liked and what I didn't get and that type of stuff.
Mm.
So that's part of it, and then part of it was working through the book. And then like, practicing this versus this was it's kind of a revelation for me. At least specifically for traditional drawing where I'm doing with a pencil and paper. It's not the same online where I can like adjust sizes as I need and whatever.
Right.
But for traditional, it's pretty nice being able to have two different line sizes. And it has me think more about like pressure and like how light I want the lines to be and all that stuff too, which can add some variety to my artwork, which is kind of fun. I really like it. So, I think you need to be maybe there's so many positives. There's so many positives to the goals. I don't think it's like inherently a perfect system, like a perfectly positive system. I think there are some cons of like, okay, well I did it, I'm done. Which could be limiting to your actual goals. Or maybe it's not. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But
Well, if we look at our process here, I mean, we've been doing this. What is this is episode 13?
yeah,
So it's been
13 weeks.
a while. We've been kind of in our mind. There's this constant weekly remembering of what we're trying to get to production, and that is now a habit. I think whereas before when I was doing this alone, yeah, okay, maybe a few weeks I'd work on something, and then what? Some game would catch my eye and work on that for 2 months, and then maybe I'd be like, oh yeah, I thought I wrote something a while back. I what? Maybe open it for a day, and then something else happens, and a week goes. There was no consistency. So just starting with consistency, got us to the point where we're at now, where every week we're forced to look at ourselves and go, okay, why didn't I get to finish my dream? And I know that's a very extreme way of asking that question. It's not, did I do anything more? Did I create it? No,
I mean,
it's like,
more honest.
Why didn't I finish what my goal is? Well, there's a lot of reasons. But as we start to work towards this remembering, and as we start to work on getting things done, and as this all becomes part of who we are, it becomes easier and easier. Just like, oh no, we don't even. Oh, every week we're gonna get the video up. We don't even mark it off. It's not even a thing anymore. Whereas week one, it was like a big deal. That's my goal for the week. Get the video up, man. I mean, we've come a long way, and not even. And the thing is, it's easy. It's easy as we go along because that habit is created, and now it's just part of our life. In a year, what are the types of things we're going to get done in a week? you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, it, the decade of slubbing off for me is part of why I don't hold myself too much to the fire. You know, for not getting something done one week, it's like, okay, I've this is going to be a process, but you know what? I believe that when we're done, we're going to be changed and very productive people.
I mean, I feel like we are already on that road. Like you said, we're already to the point where we are much more productive than probably we've ever been. At least outside of like, forced labor.
Right.
It's I don't know, it's really interesting to think that there's this driving force now that's these accountability videos, these accountability podcasts, if you want to call them, if you're like, listening on Spotify or whatever, that keep us just moving along. And and as we're doing that, we're learning these tricks. Like, I think a big important one that we need to always be visiting is easy achievable goals, because that gives you that momentum, or that gives you that, like if your goal wasn't to, clean up the hard drive, what if your goal was to move the hard drive to, or plug in the hard drive? That was one goal. That was your goal that week, was plug in the hard drive. You could probably accomplish that, but I think there's a lot to it that can push you around.
Yeah, if the goals don't seem to get accomplished, then breaking them down even simpler is how you can get to that
Mm-hmm.
next stage. I mean, having the goal of write one sentence is a loaded kind of goal because it's
Yes, it is. And I do want to stress, because like in your brain's like, well, it's not really goal of writing one sentence. Yes, it is. It is the goal of writing one sentence. And you should feel accomplished if you write the goal of one sentence, because it's not just, oh, write one sentence. It's sitting down, open the project, get in the mindset, actually typing out a sentence, using your brain like a writer to type out that sentence. If you wanted to be done after that first sentence, you can be. And some days, it's gonna be just that one sentence, because that's life. But you're making a habit. You're making writing part of your life.
yeah, and you know what you just said was interesting to me because um I had my write one sentence as my weekly goal, and I am going to now have write one sentence as my once every day off goal now. Okay? So I'm going to put that in for next week because I want to get some more repetition in there. And even if I don't achieve it, just having another day, every day I can achieve this is creating more of a habit. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put
So what I do is I put the actual day. So I have like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
mhm.
Wednesday, Thursday, because that's what's like my week according to these videos is.
Oh, right.
So
And
I would
mine
put
is
Friday,
Friday,
Sunday,
Sunday,
and then Thursday.
Thursday.
And then you can cross them off as you accomplish them
Right.
too, which is fun.
I like it. So yeah, slow ramping up of the patterns that you're trying to make. Um, finding a way to do that in just a small way each time is good.
Yeah. It's I don't know, it's been working for us. We've been pushing through. We're gonna get some storyboarding done today, and then, yeah, we'll be back next week. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we close it up here?
I'm very excited to see if I can feel good about next week. I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to write again, and so I'm looking forward to seeing if I just accomplish one writing block, or if I just kind of to see how it works out, and I want to know how we do on our storyboarding, whether we got some good things done. Yeah, and on your side, seeing how you did. I'm just looking forward to the we talk a lot about momentum and all of that, and I think we're both starting to itch, at getting some real work done on our test project.
Mm-hmm.
But it's starting to be more exciting to me to dream about those things than it is to pick up a game.
Mm-hmm.
And so the hope is there. It's not really like I wish we could get something done sometime. It's like, okay, I see actual parts of the equation getting filled in here that is going to equal this sum at the end. So I'm looking forward to increasing the production.
Yeah, I think so too. I see. I mean, I see the end goal of Project Pancake. I see, and I feel like I can see most of the steps on the way there too. It's storyboarding. Then once we get the storyboard done, I'm gonna go through and draw up each page, and then we're gonna work together to make sure that they look how we want them to. And then it's moving on to KDP and figuring out how we're going to have it, sell it, or whatever we're going to do with it. And then blammo.
Mm-hmm. Then moving on to a real sellable product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for listening. And I hope you, some of that gave you some insight on yourself. That is our hope for this whole series, is that you can see people really working through from zero to end of, of that goal you always wanted to accomplish. So hopefully we, listening to these podcasts can fast forward your self-examination and everything that goes into getting you to achieve your stuff quick.
Yeah. I mean, because it's so easy to distract yourself, too, with, like YouTube videos or podcasts, rather than, taking the time to actually, examine yourself and figure out, what's stopping you from accomplishing your goals. What obstacles are you going with? All right. So that has been Productivity and Procrastination. There'll be links to the Discord if you ever want to get in contact with us. We're in there. And then also the the Patreon, if you feel like you have extra money and you want to donate to us, which we would appreciate.
And Spotify, of course, and Apple, what do they call Apple? Apple Podcasts?
Apple,
what is that now?
Music? Apple Music? I don't know.
Hey, when write it in the comments.
We just signed up there. We don't know what it is.
We don't know what
I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
So I hope you have a good week and take it easy.
Bye.